Imagine, if you will, being born at the turn of the century in America and growing up dyslexic, severely dyslexic and colorblind. Quite challenging, right? Imagine then, at the age of 17, contracting polio, which leaves you so severely paralyzed you have nothing but your sight and your ability to hear left. Now this happened to a man known as Milton Erickson. Quite a challenge that he went through. Milton was so severely paralyzed that he was bound to his bed and was forced to entertain himself. And he did this by observing people, by observing the conversations that were happening around him, his family, his parents, the doctors, the medical personnel. And he really noticed something quite interesting about this process of observation. And what he was seeing in people was the contradictory nature of what they often said and what they meant. What they were meaning to communicate and what they were actually communicating were often very different things. And this fascinated Milton Erickson. He actually went on to become quite a master of understanding this process of communication. What he also did as he was lying there in his bed for many years was to begin to recall the sense of muscle memory that he had before he lost his function, and slowly, over that period of years, began to actually regain the use of some of his limbs, mostly the upper body, his arms, and his ability to talk. Absolutely fascinating process that he went through. And actually, what Milton Erickson realized after this was that there was a very strong link between what was going on up here, what was going on in the body, and what was going on in our outer experience. You can imagine he was quite an ambitious chap, and he decided to push himself even further by embarking on a solo canoe trip for 1,000 miles in order to further train his body and his mind. And actually, after this trip, he regained pretty good use of his legs and was able to walk again with a walking cane. Now, Milton Erickson went on to become a fantastic leading psychiatrist in America and a pioneer in the field of medical hypnosis, and he was actually one of the key figures who heavily influenced the development of NLP, Neuro-linguistic programming. So you've probably heard this term, Neuro-linguistic programming, bandied about quite a bit, and a lot of people sort of seem to have an interest in it, but not really 100% sure what it actually is, right? So as you can imagine, communication, which I've hinted at already, is a big element of NLP. But there's a lot more to NLP than that. So the easiest way to understand NLP is to break it down into the constituent parts. So NLP, obviously neuro-linguistic programming. If we take the N, the first letter of the neuro, it's actually short for neurological. What this is about understanding what's going on in here, what's going on in our thoughts at the deepest level in terms of our purpose and our sense of identity in the world, but all the way up through our values, our beliefs, our skills and abilities, and consequently, through our life experience, the filters through which we perceive our experience, which of course then adds to that internal mix. What all of this does as well at the same time is that it affects our internal state. So, you know, am I happy, am I sad, am I feeling productive, am I feeling stressed? All of this will be affected by what's going on in here. So the linguistic part of NLP is really about communication, which I've already kind of hinted at. But this takes it a lot further because communication, in this sense, is very much about what's going on in here for us, but then how we're communicating that to the external world, and then also how we're perceiving the external world through our filters and communicating internally, right? So all of this is about how we interact with the wider environment. The neurology is about the internal environment. This is about the wider environment. And of course, all of this sort of continued process will affect the level of results that we're getting in life. Whether that's in career, relationships, performance, sports, who knows? You know, every area of life is determined by this same mix of elements and the same processes. So finally, we have the P for programming. Now this could be called reprogramming. It should be called reprogramming because what this is about is understanding that once we have got a grasp of those different elements in the mix that are affecting the level of results we're getting in our lives, we can actually remove, replace, upgrade, update, all of those elements that aren't working for us in order to achieve better results in whatever field interests us. And by results, we're talking about excellence, whatever that means for you. It's about getting consistent, repeatable results. So let me ask you, with all of that said, what would you say, just take a minute, what would you say might be holding you back from achieving your excellence, whatever that is for you? Is it things you're believing? Is it the things you're saying or doing on a daily basis? Is it your consistent internal state? Is it the fact that you don't really have a clear direction, a clear purpose, where you want to go, what you want to achieve? Who knows what that might be for you? But it's important as a first step to get very clear on that. So one thing that we understand in NLP, once we have that initial starting point, one thing that it's really important for us to understand is that in order to get results, in order to get solutions, we need to be focused on solutions and we need to be focused on results. Okay? So in NLP, we're very much concerned with the process of getting you from where you are to where you want to be. And for that reason, we ask a lot of process-based questions. And by that I mean questions like how. How is that person doing what they do? What specifically do they want? Okay. The thing that distinguishes us mostly from more traditional approaches to change, and particularly sort of the field of therapies, is that they tend to ask lots of why questions. Now, why is very much about finding meaning. Finding meaning in your situation can be very useful and very therapeutic and very cathartic for many people. At the same time, it can become very easy to lose ourselves in that search for meaning and develop what we like to call analysis paralysis, right? Sound familiar? Yeah. So by asking lots of process-based questions, the how and the why, the how and the what, we can begin to affect that change in a very positive way. One thing that we understand is that if we change the context, we change the meaning. If we get the process right and we make those adaptations, the meaning follows all by itself, as do the results. So begin to ask yourself now, how did you get to this point? Think again specifically neuro-linguistically. What behaviours, thoughts, beliefs, daily rituals, consistent internal state are you perpetuating to get you to this point? One of the most important questions we can possibly ask ourselves, as far as I'm concerned, is what would I like to have instead? Okay? So this helps to build a clear a picture of what it is excellence means for you, what it is you would like to have instead of what you've currently got, right? What will my life look like when I'm excelling? So once you've identified what excellence is for you, it's important to build a real clear, vivid picture of what that destination is for you. Because again, it's been said, life's a journey. Yeah? If life's a journey, like on any other journey, you need your destination. If you don't know where it is you're going to, how are you ever going to get there, right? It's not even worth setting off. So again, it's really important to build up a very clear and vivid picture of where you're trying to get to. And finally, how can I get there? What specifically can I do to make that happen? Again, think neuro-linguistically. Now this can be quite a hard process, quite a challenging process, especially if it's new territory for us. Okay, so the easiest way to make any change is to find someone that's already doing what we want to be doing. Surely, right? It's obvious. And yet so many of us don't consider that as an option. We find someone that's already doing what we're doing, or we want to be doing, someone who's already getting the sorts of results that we want to be getting. Surely it becomes an easier process of actually observing what it is they're doing, what specifically they're doing, and how we can replicate that for ourselves, right? So again, behaviours, skills, qualities, creative processes can all be modelled. This is a process of modelling in order to achieve similar or even greater results for ourselves. There's a key point here as well, which I should mention. It's often left out of a lot of key NLP trainings, and that is that there is a deeper element. We can't separate that deeper unconscious desire, that deeper unconscious drive, that intention from the process, right? And at the same time, a level of an emotional awareness and emotional intelligence is needed, because any change we make has to be sustainable, it has to be ecological, it has to benefit not just us, but the people around us if it's to last. Thinking more broadly, NLP offers a lot of different tools and interventions that can help us in this process, right? We're not saying that this is the only way. This is one of the ways that many people find useful. There are many, many other ways. One thing about NLP that makes it pretty unique is that it's focused on results, it's focused on solutions. Okay? The ultimate realization out of all of this that I've covered here in this very brief time, and also the lesson that Milton Erickson himself teaches us, is that we're all free to become the absolute best that we want to become, the absolute best we can be, to have happiness, fulfillment and excellence in our lives, whatever that means for us. Thank you for listening.